Okay, welcome to the only finance junkie for tonight. No, I'm kidding. We've got some more people on the show today. Thank you all for being here. Johnny, Harry, Lai, Luke, Joseph Vento, a new channel member. Thank you for becoming a channel member. ET, FaceTime Home, Emmanuel, Dijuki, Cameron, Invisible Voices, Rye, the Investor Guy. All right, so I want to say something. Vitaly, I see you backstage. I'm going to get everyone in here to say, well, actually, no, Vitaly, we'll have you up here because Carlos is in a meeting. He'll be here in a second.
Oh, shit.
Chris is not going to be able to make it tonight, so we have someone to replace Chris. But I just want to say something, okay? And Vitaly, I want to get your thoughts on how you felt about this last night. So last night was the first night in 2 months where we did not have a show. The only other night we didn't have a show was Memorial Day. And we were actually about to go live, and then we realized, wait a second, no, it's like Memorial Sunday or whatever. We can't go live. So it was the first night in like 2 months. And honestly, I felt really bad about it. I felt really bad about it because I was just like, damn, this is our thing. We're supposed to go live every night. We said this is our schedule, and we couldn't go live due to external situations, nothing that was like, bad. But we didn't go live. And it was so interesting because the amount of comments we got all on Twitter, all in DMs, all the stuff of like, you guys said you were going to go live. What happened? Why aren't you live? What's going on? What's going on with the show? Is the show over? What is Finance Junkies done? And it's just like we were just taking one day off because of external circumstances. What it proved to me is that there is a core group of people that want this show every night. And because they want this show, it's like, it feels bad to not deliver. Even if sometimes you can't deliver every time, it still kind of sucks. It feels bad. It's like, damn, people really wanted this and we weren't able to deliver. So I think what we learned from the experience,
I didn't feel that bad, just FYI.
Yeah, you didn't give a fuck because you have a wife and you're enjoying your life, and you went to a comedy show, correct?
I did, but go ahead, finish your rant.
Yeah, it was, and you deserve to go to a comedy show, right? And so like sometimes people can't make it. What I realized is we have a community that's willing to sub in. So there were like 4 or 5 people yesterday: Chris, Steve, Tevis, Steve, Tevis, Tanner, a bunch of people that were like, yo, if someone can't make it, you don't got to cancel the show. The show has to fucking go on.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. Just put someone new in the show. You've got people that are willing to be on.
How quickly a knife goes right into the back.
Yeah, literally.
Chris can't make it?
Fuck Chris, bro. I'm a star too. I can.
I'm bootleg Chris. I'll talk about stocks.
And this is the comment that's correct by Futbucker. Showbiz, baby. This is the harsh reality of showbiz. If the show's not there, you're not in business. That's why it's called show business. And so to me, outside of the actual show business part of it, I just didn't feel good that we didn't go live because I was like, damn, we said we were going to go live and we didn't. And so this show means a lot to us, and we're going to try to make sure we never miss a day. And if other people can't make it, we're just going to make sure we can have some people sub in to make the show happen. Carlos, what's up? How are you?
I'm good. I've been saying, hey, let me in for like 10 minutes. Like, listen to you.
I still thought you were on the call.
Well, let's start the show. Let's start it.
Yeah, let's do.
And
monetize us
right
daily.
There. Boom.
No, you're allowed to have 15 seconds.
You're allowed 15 seconds? Really?
Yes, you're allowed 15 seconds, and that's it.
15 seconds.
Also, if you could talk over it in game and fake out the algorithm.
You down with OPP, everybody?
Showing their age.
So instead of
how many people know what that is, just post it in the comments.
It's like, 5 people over 40.
Yo, Amit does not know what OPP is.
I know what OPP is. What are you talking about?
What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it stand for?
Opportunistic protection plan for your investment.
He's like, OPP, what's the valuation?
I'm down with AIP. Yeah, you know me. I'm down with AIP. Every last homie.
Every last homie. So, one thing me and Carlos did do, because we didn't go live, me and Carlos actually had a private Zoom, and we were just talking about like a bunch of finance
West, you know what it is.
Stuff. So we still met. We just ended up not going live, and we'll make sure we go live. However,
and it was good. It was good because we almost never get that.
We don't get a chance to actually talk about like the show itself, progress on the show, what we want to do with the show. So we got a good hour to hash it out yesterday, and it was good. So hopefully that'll just make the show better in the long term. But we heard all your comments, and we'll make sure to keep the show going. So Chris couldn't make it tonight, so we have a person who's going to sub in for Chris. Here he is, the SoFi guy. Tanner, what's up?
Good to see you guys.
I love that. What did you just do? What was this? This is like,
he's there with OPP.
I bring it down, baby.
He doesn't know what we're talking about.
No, I was happy to sub in for Chris. Whenever I think OPP, I think of Ontario Police or whatever. I forget what that thing is, but that's the only OPP I know.
I just want to point out that everybody who gets subbing in for Chris is basically a banker. Okay, we got everyone is like into banks, so we're getting so okay. We're sticking with the
But
theme.
it's also like Vitaly, when you have to replace a band member and you keep trying out a different person. This is what it feels like. Like
Right.
okay, we're gonna run it back. We're gonna play these two songs and okay, see, we take it from the top.
You're like, you know what? You don't play bass as good as the other guy, right?
Right. We're like, okay, what we're gonna do is we need you to talk about banks, and then you need to say banks, bitches.
You gotta say
it
Weight
like,
Watchers a couple of times. And,
and see if we can do it.
Yeah,
Wait,
sorry guys. I sold all my SoFi. I bought Truist. I can fill in.
Yeah.
I can fill in.
Bro, can we talk about the shit that was printing today? Like,
No, before that, I really
true. I
wanted
need
to
a
ask
shot of vodka.
Vitaly about his comedy show. I can't believe you went and saw Shane Gillis and Dave Patel. I thought that was amazing.
So yeah, my wife is a big comedy fan. She listens to all the podcasts. What is it? 2 Bears, 1 Cup.
2 Bears, 1 Cave. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So she listens to that. So it's a Burt Kreischer fully loaded tour. Shane Gillis was there, and also Dave Attell. And actually, Shane Gillis, I've heard him only a couple of times, but just the amount of laughter he got was amazing. Like, that guy is funny. And Dave Attell, I wasn't a big a Dave Attell fan because of just hearing them. He had a show, I think, I forgot what it was called, but on Comedy Central.
Yeah.
And I wasn't that big of a fan, but listening to him live, that guy knows how to get a joke out. It's like 1,000 jokes a minute, but he knows how to get it out. Like, everybody was dying. Yeah. And Burt without his shirt, I don't know why he does that, but
Who closed it? Who closed?
Well, it's Burt Kreischer's tour.
It's Kreischer, but
Kreischer. Yeah. It's his tour.
How long was the show? Like 3 hours?
Yeah, around 3 hours, but Burt only stayed up, I don't know, 30 minutes, 25 minutes. It was too fast, honestly. I thought he was like going to stay up there and talk, but he was super fast.
Was there any joke that made you just die laughing, or what?
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I don't remember the jokes, but hilarious. I'm telling you, it's like one after another. And Shane Gillis is probably my favorite because he tells stories, and I like those comedians like Dave Chappelle that can tell a story.
Yeah.
So we even listened to a whole hour-long special of Shane Gillis. It's on YouTube, I think. You guys should check it out. And the guy is great. Absolutely amazing.
He's not for the faint of heart, for sure.
Oh, yeah. If you're easily offended, then you won't like him.
You don't want to watch anyone in that crowd.
There's a lot of dirty humor and very mean humor, but it works. And I like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Carlos.
No, just I do a lot of comedy specials, and I wish I could talk about all of them, but I got some good ones coming up. I just finished up one, and I got one more that I got notes on today that I think would be funny. So I'm big on comedy too.
So what is OPP?
You'll never know.
No, what is OPP? I want to know what the fuck.
You're gonna have to look it up, and there'll be a quiz.
Yeah, there'll be a quiz later. Tanner, have you ever heard the song?
OPP, yeah.
By Naughty by Nature.
Yeah.
Okay, Naughty by Nature.
That's going way back, yeah.
Wow. All right.
That's going.
Thank
way
you,
back.
thank you, John, for the super chat. Bought Target and cheesecake. That's Vitaly's favorite restaurant. So
Yes.
The Target one is interesting. I keep looking at it for like an entry point, but I feel like it's not going to recover, man.
That's the only OPP I know.
the police one. Yeah.
They're all over the floor.
Producer wife just brought me an iced tea. Thank you, producer wife.
Cindy's got to get on the pod one day, bro. People love her. They love the photo you tweeted. That's like they like Cindy. They like producer.
I think there should be like a significant others podcast. Maybe we put them on. And Tanner, do you have a girlfriend or a wife?
Longtime girlfriend, yeah.
Okay. Amit, who are you going to bring on your hand?
I'll bring my girlfriend on. She's there. I'll bring her on. She can,
He's like in a sock bucket. Hello. How are you doing?
I brought my girlfriend on camera one time and had to listen to Amit for like multiple episodes afterwards about how much he loves the name Samantha and how much I should bring her on camera more often. I thought he had a little crush. So
that's creep. Yeah, that's a little creep.
Yeah, you won't see.
Okay, first of all, no, that's
you
not.
You should see the messages he sent me about Cindy. This guy's fucking.
Oh, relax.
Ridiculous messages.
Did this happen? The reason I said that is because there was a girl I really liked in 7th grade named Samantha, and we had a thing kind of, and it was just like this name stuck with me for years. So when Tanner says, "Oh, my girlfriend's name is Samantha," I was like, "Oh, I love that name." It wasn't meant to like insinuate anything, but it was like, I love that.
Yeah,
name.
you can pack a lot of pervert in 5'7", so and Amit shows that off. He loves crashing on other people's girls.
She didn't even come on camera. Oh, that didn't sound. She
dude, you
didn't
don't
come
say
on
that.
the
You
show.
guys want to know something? So
Her voice was in the background. She wasn't even on the show.
no, I brought her on, and then you found
was
her
this a
YouTube
podcast,
channel,
Tanner?
and then he found her
This was
YouTube
SoFi
channel,
Weekly.
and then started watching a whole bunch of her video. Like he explored her.
Okay, that's not the case. I found her LinkedIn because she says she's in marketing, and so I saw her LinkedIn. That got a but that wasn't being a creep. That was just like I wanted to see him in
The hole you're
the
digging
vlog
is
with
just-
her and Tanner. Like I like couple vlogs. Is that
Dude,
a big
Amit
deal?
is a
Like, I like
creeper.
couple-
Well, I
like
tell you
couple
that
vlogs.
he's a creeper.
Kill me. I like couple vlogs, and it's I saw Tanner in some of these vlogs, and they were cute. That's all.
He's like, how do you guys get girlfriends and wives?
Yeah.
How do you do it? What's the 10-step process?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, we got the daily Amit embarrassment out of the way. Let's get into the Fed. Okay.
Mr. What did this guy write? Mr. Steal Your Girl? Cameron Vincent.
It's getting worse and worse, isn't it? I think that's true.
Yeah, I'm like the hole you're digging. Someone's gonna do a little mashup.
Yeah, I didn't even know you found her LinkedIn. I'm getting new information. So
Oh shit,
Creep,
he's telling him
dude.
right now.
I mean, look, I was curious, bro. Look, if I had a girlfriend, I feel like you would want to know about her life. Like we're decent friends. Like I want to know about
No.
Vitali's life. Like
I
feel like
wouldn't
that's-
track
I
it
want to
down
know
on
what
LinkedIn.
store she sells stuff on Etsy. Like I want to buy one of her things. Like that'd be cool. That's just support.
yeah.
All right, if you say so.
Okay.
What's your mom's number? Let me text her.
Okay. The Fed. All right. So Jerome Powell said he's going to pause rates, but he said we're going to hike 2 times before the end of the year. So the question is he bullshitting? The market obviously rallied today. S&P at a 2023 high, $443. What do you guys think? Do you think he was lying? Do you think there's some truth in it, or do you think we're coming for a crash? Let's start with Vitali, then we'll go to Tanner. Go ahead, Vitali.
Is he lying about pausing and then raising twice?
Yes.
I think he is. Look, people thought he was dumb because of what he did like a couple of years ago, and he kept the money printer going. But you know what? Looking back on it now, he's done the right things that sort of brought inflation down. I think the economy's back on track. Maybe there's some recession coming, or a minor recession, if any. And I don't know. Everyone's expected it, so we talked about this. It might not even happen. So I think he's done the right things. And the right thing is to say that there is still pressure going to be applied on the markets. I think that's the right thing to say. But will it happen? I doubt it at this point. I mean, when's he going to do it? In 6 months now? I mean, like, I think it's over. As soon as he sees the numbers, if the numbers keep continuing down, it's over.
Tanner, do you agree with Vitali? And why do you think the hike? Why do you think he mentioned those 2 hikes at the end of the conference?
Yeah, I think they wanted to stay consistent, but I think the pause shows a lot. Now, Canada actually paused and then resumed recently. So, I mean, it's possible. And for the most part, I thought that they were following the Fed, but I do actually think we're done. I think that I think the Fed's losing a lot of credibility, and I think the market is really just blowing them off. You know, he said, "Oh, well, we're going to continue rates," and the market just goes through the roof. So, I think it's over.
Carlos, your thoughts? What do you think is going on?
Listening to him speak, I don't think he cares about the economy more so than he cares about the markets. I think the soft landing is on. I think what he's doing is he's literally telling everybody way ahead of time what's going to happen, so that the markets don't get reactionary. When markets get reactionary, especially on the downside, it's like, what do they say? It's an elevator up and it's like or an elevator down, right? It's a staircase up and an elevator down. That's what I feel like he's trying to avoid. And so I think he's letting people know what's going to happen so that all the stuff can be baked in and the companies can make their moves accordingly, so that when the rate hikes do come, it ends up being just another Fed boring meeting. That's what I think he's going for. So I think a lot of the stuff's just baked in. And I think now people are going to bake in the next couple of hikes and just expect it. They're just going to expect that that's what's happening. So I think he's looking out for markets more than the economy. I'm not saying it's necessarily good for the economy, right? But I think he's looking out for markets because he knows that to a lot of people, the economy, the S&P is the economy, right? At least to the people he cares about. And in a way, it's like it's hurting people, like in terms of new car loans and mortgages, but that's not what he's looking at right now. He's just looking at keeping the economy strong.
Yeah, but if the markets are rallying, are they even pricing in, the idea that there will be continuous hikes?
Yeah. Because he's saying it. It's not going to come as a surprise. Markets don't like surprises. Think about it. Markets like certainty, right? And now that we know what's going to happen, I don't think there's going to necessarily be as big of a reaction as there would have been if it caught people off guard. People don't like being caught off guard. So
Yeah,
I think honestly now it turns these meetings kind of into like a non-news story to me.
I do want to point out we talked about this too long ago to remember at this point. Me and Carlos even did a cool episode you guys should check out on Freelancer Finance about Jeremy Grantham. You guys remember that guy?
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
When the market started tanking, of course, all the bears come out, and Jeremy Grantham is like, "We're going to 2,500 S&P." And I recently checked. We were at 40. Was it 4,300 on the S&P? What is it right now?
Yeah, 4,300.
So when I did that video,
When was this? That was a while ago.
this was 2 years ago. So
Yeah, that was a
this
while
was this was a while ago.
Right.
And I talked about the S&P trend. If anyone looks at the chart of the S&P, we have been in the same channel for like 100 years.
12, yeah, over 12 years.
100 years. No, 12
Yeah.
years. Forget about it. 100 years. It's been like 70 years in the same bullish channel of the S&P. And we have not broken out of it really, basically at all. So when Jeremy Grantham made his prediction, even he was making a prediction that it was going to be within the S&P at 2,500. And I said, look, is it possible? Yes. But is it likely? Even then I said, it's probably not likely. And so I looked at the S&P. Back when I said this, it was 4,300. I keep getting the numbers mixed up, but now it's the same exact thing. It hasn't changed. So the worst thing that happened is that nothing has changed. Right. And Jeremy Grantham, once again, makes the prediction for another year and is proven wrong. So
I was going to say, he's a permabull. Like you're
permabull. Go ahead.
Well,
go
look,
ahead.
in the comments there, right? Even Chris is saying someone has to break. Ren being like, we're about to get rugged. I did post something this morning. I was going with one of our viewers.
Okay, so you're getting rugged to 2,500. Is this what Chris is saying?
No,
well, this is why I posted. I put a video in the private chat, Chris. I mean, Amit, where I think the numbers that he's talking about might not be right, but the trends make a lot of sense, and it does show that channel that Vitaly read. This is worth playing some of this. He's talking about crypto, but he's talking about it related to how the stock market, so it relates. Play some of this. See what you think.
Every time the yield curve inverts, indicated by this red, that is the start of a sequence of events. The next step is the Fed fund rate flattens off and begins to decrease. That pivot where it begins to decrease is the second step in the sequence of events. The third step is the stock market begins to bottom out and crashes to its ultimate final low. 1, 2, 3. And that repeats in both the year 2000 and 2008 housing crisis, where we had the yield curve invert right here. We had the federal funds rate begin to pivot, begin to decrease the interest rates. And lastly, we had the final leg down, or the biggest portion down, and the collapse to the bottom of the S&P 500. And we are at the beginning. We have the yield curve inversion. We do not yet have the Fed funds pivot, although it has begun slowing down, as we just saw today in the FOMC meeting. And that will be followed, in my estimation, by a major collapse of the S&P 500 down to new lows that we have not seen for a very long time. I think that by the end of next year, we'll probably have the final stages of going flat on the federal funds rate, and a pivot will occur where the first time will actually start to decrease, and the federal funds rate will begin to decrease. And that will take however long that takes, maybe 6 to 12 more months for that. And after that point, we have stage 3, where the S&P 500 begins its steepest descent, its massive collapse into its bottom, whether that's 2,100 on the S&P 500 or all the way down to touching these double tops around 1,500 on the S&P 500.
He's talking about,
I think those are our two most.
How that relates.
Did he say 1,500?
Yeah, that's where it gets. I was talking about that with Crossroads.
This is idiotic.
It's like 15,000 is idiotic, but it's the idea of this pattern that the yield curve inverting sets markets up, and then when they pivot back, the S&P is going to come back down. So this idea of the rug pull, the idea of a rug pull is it hits you when you least expect it, right? I mean, the money printer now comes back on, rates start to fall.
But what's the logic outside of historically that has happened? Like, what's the logic for that crash to happen?
Well, he didn't get into why. He's just saying that there's a correlation there, and we've seen it 3 times. This would be the 3rd time, and we've been in the longest rise up since seeing this happen. So that's why I'm taking it with a grain of salt. But I do think it's good to just get these opposing points of view and look back at some historical data, because it's not related to like any specific company. This is just when the Fed does this and then they do this, the market does this, and this is what we've seen. So That's why I was like, we should just at least look at it.
Well, it's good to look at it. So why don't I show at least the chart, because for people who haven't seen the SPX.
You see it? Yeah, you see how long we've been running up?
Let me keep going back and back. Since basically 1937, okay, we have been in the same channel. So this is where Jeremy Grantham gets his little prognostication. Is that what the right word? And basically he says 2,500, right? Which is right here. It's at the bottom of the channel. He expects it to come right to the bottom of this orange line. And look, is it possible? Sure, anything is possible. But more than likely, if you just look at the history of where it hangs out over decades, we're not talking about like a year, it tends to stay somewhere in the center. And look, it goes down here in 1975. Then the next time it revisited that low was in 2009, the orange line. Okay. So you can say we're due now. I would actually say we're probably due in another decade or two till we hit the orange line again. But we'll see what happens. I don't think it's coming. I think we're going to stay in this this middle range of blue and green. If you see those two lines, I think that's where we're going to probably hang out.
What would that level be if we did pivot at
blue? The blue is around 3,000.
Oof.
Tanner, what are your thoughts?
That's not
yeah,
pretty.
I mean, it's so funny that that Vitaly says that. I mean,
no, I'm not saying we're going there. I'm saying
I'm not saying you're anti my point. I just think it's funny that it can be another decade. Like, I don't follow any charts like that. I think, Baba said it earlier whenever it was actually happening. This is a sample size of 2 different points. Okay.
No. I just showed you 70 years.
No. I'm talking about the lowering of the Fed funds rate leads to the highest crash 6 to 12 months later. I'm not talking about the stock market staying within two poles. The problem with this is that those charts and those unbreakable sort of metrics break all the time. there was it makes me think back to that chart. I forget what it is. There'll be some Bitcoin maxis in the chat that'll talk about it, how Bitcoin has never broken out of this chart and it's always been in these price range. You guys know what I'm talking about?
The rainbow chart. It's the rainbow chart.
It absolutely broke out. It ruined a strategy that was running for, what was it, 10 plus years, 12 years, whatever. I just don't believe it. I think there's so many other things that factor in than one simple interest rate number.
Yeah, that's fine. So what are you saying? Are you saying Jeremy Grantham and the Bears are right, or what's your final point?
I don't believe in Jeremy Grantham at all. I'm stupidly optimistic and it might get me hurt, but I think the truth is that I think that there will be positions that are potentially overvalued that could drag down the overall S&P. But even in the darkest of days in the S&P 500, there's great positions. And I believe that AI is an absolute certainty. And whether or not NVIDIA or some of these positions are overvalued, there will be an overall great economic growth due to that.
Well, so Tanner, what's your perspective on this? Chris says, don't forget, guys, AI pulled us out of this spiral. That's why FANG and NVIDIA rallied so much. So Tanner, do you agree that if we didn't have AI, the market would be shit? And then the second question to that is, does that even matter? Because we got AI. And so the market decided,
I've had a couple exchanges with Chris and DMs and stuff talking about, who's going to benefit from AI. And a lot of people are pointing to AI companies. And I was talking with Chris about this back in the internet days. The internet companies are the companies that everyone pointed to as being the largest beneficiaries of the internet, of course. But every company practically in the world now is benefiting from the internet. And I think that that'll be the exact same thing with AI. There will be a lot of large players, but every company is going to have AI and margins will improve across the board.
The reason we had part of that .com bubble is the reason why we had that .com bubble is because it became a buzzword that, the internet, every company just kind of pets.com. This is why that stuff crashed, because at the end of the day, it just became a buzzword and it didn't translate into these companies' bottom line. So yeah, they could say that AI, every company's going to say that they're having something to do with AI for the bump, but you have to prove that it's actually helping your business model in a way that deserves that multiple.
Carlos, do you think it's a buzzword at all? Do you think it's a buzzword?
I think so. I don't think every company.
I don't think it's a buzzword at all.
No. What I mean is the industry is doing well, but I don't think every company overnight is suddenly using AI in this way, in the way that like the main AI companies are using it. Like NVIDIA is making money off of AI because people need the GPUs to train the networks, right? So that's a clear that is a clear advantage, and it's a clear boost to NVIDIA. But does that mean that every single company now is just going to turn on AI? I don't think so.
Well, the thing is that the big companies can. So I know you're saying I agree with you, but the companies we care about and the companies that control the S&P, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, all these companies, they are using AI. They are going to make a difference.
And they're the reason for the rally.
They're the reason that we're going to.
But what Chris's
keep
point
going up.
What Chris's point is this: if say the S&P 500 is the average of 500 companies, and everything else is tanking, but these other players are just getting so overvalued, the S&P 500 is not an accurate representation of the market. Like,
no, but you would disagree with that one word you used, which is overvalued, because they're not overvalued. If AI, like Satya Nadella said, they're going to bring in 10 billion in revenue because of AI today.
Sure, okay, well, maybe not overvalued, but that they've swollen up to wash out.
Why does that matter? Why does that matter?
It
like
matters.
Apple's 7.5% of the S&P. Why does Apple's $3 trillion company? They deserve it.
Matters.
Right?
Well, it matters because if you're trying to take the average of 500 companies and only 5 of them are propping the entire thing up, imagine you're making a stage.
Those 5 better not fail then.
That's the idea. If you're trying to build a stage if you're trying to build a stage with 500 legs and only 5 of them are actually load bearing, what happens when you put stress on that, right? Eventually it's going to break.
None of those companies are going to break. That's the first thing. If they break, the whole country breaks. Okay. So,
Tanner, go ahead.
Wait. But the company's breaking is different from their stock crashing.
But the stock crashing would be earnings plummeting. But what's
plummeting.
the catalyst for? And there might be a catalyst for earnings plummeting.
Well, that's macro. That's macro. People not having the money to buy their products and services, right? Eventually, companies still need to show revenue. So there's still a bit of that. The thing is, the companies are still going to be doing well. No one's saying they're not going to do well. But does that mean that their stock price will stay up? And it doesn't necessarily mean the stock price is going to go up. No, as a matter of fact, the only time we make money is when there's a disconnect.
I agree, but okay, so let's say it remains flat, but once again, it goes to the point that the S&P has to go to get to 2,500 or 1,400, as that video pointed out.
Right.
Those companies have to go down a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Apple has to sell one Vision Pro.
One,
to me,
one gets sold.
to me.
No, but you know what I'm saying here? Like,
I hear you, but this is where
cut in half.
This is the problem that Crossroads and I were saying on Twitter about the video that I just showed you. Trying to predict where it actually comes down is a bit ridiculous because these levels, 1,400, 2,500, they sound ludicrous. But it doesn't mean that we might not see a major pullback from where we are now.
Yeah,
and we don't know when. You don't know when it would happen, right? You don't know when it would happen and what company would trigger it. But if, for example, if Apple had really bad earnings, it does affect how the lens that the market's going to be looking at other earnings. It might raise expectations in a way that those companies can't beat them. So this is where it goes back to, I don't know who it was saying, it was either you, Amit, or Chris, that the market is like fundamentally psychological. These people are trying to protect their money and show returns, right? So they're gonna make moves defensively that don't necessarily reflect the company's intrinsic values.
Tanner, what are your thoughts on 5 companies propping up the S&P because of AI?
Yeah, I mean, I think things are different, and I hate saying that the markets are different this time, but
it's like, but they're different this time.
No, but I do want to say these points, and whether or not that they weigh heavily, I mean that's a different story. But I forget this chart, and I won't be able to bring it up but maybe someone in the chat will be faster or remember it. But it had to do with the ability and the speed of people's ability to trade versus how long market cycles would actually last. And so whenever people would have to call up to their brokers and spend $25 per trade and these sorts of things, markets moved much slower than people being able to instantly buy and sell free commission. And it really reduces holding times. And so, markets can shift much faster. So I don't necessarily know.
I guess here's the question. Are you selling big tech, Vitaly, or both of you? Are you selling big tech?
Why would I get rid of my Amazon?
Because Carlos is saying we're at a top.
I hope it goes down.
Yeah, we hope it gets smashed.
There is no investor out there that doesn't want Amazon cheaper.
That's
okay.
True.
There's no investor that doesn't want Google cheaper and Microsoft. And right now, some people are overpaying. And I'm not one of them. I'm waiting. So that's fine. If that one doesn't want to give it to me, there's always another. Unfortunately, Jim Cramer is right. There's always a bull market somewhere. Okay. Unfortunately, he's right about that statement. And so right now, Enphase is way down. That's not going up. That's not hitting all new highs. So I'm going there. But as soon as that pumps, I don't need to go there. Maybe Google takes a step back. I go to Google. So I think this big rug pull that everybody's waiting for is over. You've had your chance, by the way. In bear markets, you get 2 years.
2022 shit hit the fan.
In bear markets, you get 2 years. Guys, you've had 2 years, okay?
If you didn't get in, if you didn't get in and build your positions, and
you want it to continue for 4 years now, you want it to change the way. Look at another data point that they didn't point out, by the way. Bear markets are roughly 1 to 2 years. It's over. We've had our bear market. It's over. Okay, it's time to move on, and there will be 10%, 20% drops, but this is not a rug pull. This is the way the market behaves, basically.
Well, bring up the. I mean, that's okay.
Bring up what
Chris was saying at 626. This is how the AI play could come back to bite companies. Earnings expectations are elevated, going to be hard to meet those expectations. It's the idea that now that you say you're an AI play, like the company's actual earnings or the actual results for a quarter don't really matter so much as how it is compared to analysts' expectations, what the street expects, right? If they expect these numbers and you beat them, that's great. You're going to be rewarded. If you don't hit them, then whatever. So what his point is there, at least if I understand you correctly, Chris, is this idea of making your company an AI play raises expectations. And if that raises expectations and you miss those, the market's going to punish you. And that's how we could get this rug pull, because then all of a sudden it becomes like, oh shit, these companies, AI is not the boost that we think it's going to be. All right. And then that could bring these companies back down.
So it really depends on, is AI actually translating to earnings growth? That is what determines the trajectory.
It is, but the problem is a company like NVIDIA, we know it's running beyond. They're projecting way too far in the future. And I'm not willing to pay for 200 years of their growth in the future, right? So that's basically what it's coming down to.
But that's also their guidance. They guided that way. That's on them. They guided that way.
They doubled their revenues. So I understand why it's running up. But I think to the point of Chris that, yes, this needs a pullback, but that's a healthy thing. But to think this is going back to $100 where it was sitting at when you guys didn't want it, I think is insane.
Well, that I agree with. Yeah. I agree with
I don't know. I don't necessarily agree that there's going to be a massive pullback. If there's a short-term pullback because NVIDIA and the likes of these larger players pull back, I mean, those will be the Ciscos and the Amazons of the 2001 crash. There was a lot of.
Hey, I'm a Cisco share owner right now, man. I don't appreciate you talking about my.
I heard about your one share.
Congratulations! I'm gonna buy that one share.
That's right, to the moon.
Did you buy it yet, Vitaly, or no?
I didn't, but I will, just because the money was given to buy that crap, so I will buy it.
Yeah, I think it's so important. I bought it. I think it's so important, and I've talked to Steven about this. Stay as far away from stocks that take decades to recover, because it could take decades more. Like, yeah,
I agree.
The two companies that I totally disagree with, Steven, is Cisco and Citigroup. The market hates those companies, hates them. I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole.
And Intel despises them.
Yeah, it's. I mean, what do you mean by hates them? It's they're not tanking, but they're not growing. They're not getting any love, but they're certainly not getting hammered.
No. But when it takes you 20 years to almost reach your highs, that's hate.
Yeah, and reaching your highs because they're buying shares.
You think it's people that got burned on that run up that are like, I'm just never buying this company again?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh. I wonder how much a new additional capital is actually in Cisco versus how much of just the shares have reduced in volume. Like, they're just buying back so many shares. That's probably why it's running up right now. It's just sheerly them.
But still, if they have the cash to do that, it's
no. I mean, it's real. It's real. But I mean, are you just looking for a stock that's going to return you, less than S&P 500 returns, or are you
there's a lot of value traps. That's the thing. And so I thought, everyone thinks this is somehow different, but I do remember the past that growth companies are always in the narrative, the ones you want to be in. Those are the ones that run up the most. Okay. Obviously, you have to be in it at the right time before it crashes. All of them end up crashing 50, 60, 70%. So when everyone's surprised, like, for example, if Palantir or SoFi goes down 50%, it's up like 3x. It's like 2-3x. You expect no real pullback? Are you living in a dream? Like, seriously. So it has to come back to something reasonable, has to consolidate at a reasonable price. That's what growth companies do. But now go to value traps like Cisco, AT&T, which I have, Verizon, which I have. People buy into the whole high dividends, the fact that one day they're coming back. Dude, it's been like 20 years. It's not coming back. Okay, it's not going to happen.
I agree. Yeah.
So you have to know what side of the market you're on. And, obviously I buy both. I have dividend stocks. And if AT&T doesn't come back, I understand that. I bought into the dividend. I bought into that story. As long as that stays, I don't need a stock to 10x on me. I bought into that story. The other story, when we're talking about Enphase or Palantir or SoFi, the story is I'm getting a 10x. So when it runs up twice, that it doubles on you real fast, and it comes back, and I see everybody getting bearish again. Like today, you on your stream, I actually watched 5 minutes of your stream, and people you're like, oh, I'm sorry, it's not 10 anymore. It's like
Right.
$9.50. Okay. It's
Right.
like, what are you talking about? All right. It was $5 like 3 weeks ago. Like
Whose stream? Are you talking about mine?
No, I'm actually talking about a mid-stream. He was like,
Okay, because I didn't
he
complain.
was trying to calm everybody down that it's down 50 cents. Like, guys, it's down a little bit.
Hey,
he wasn't
Amit,
so
Because
excited.
there were people who bought it at $10.12 yesterday, and they're like, "Fuck."
And,
down.
and if
Like,
they listen
well,
to us, we said, don't go chasing. Don't be a chaser.
fucking chase that one now, yeah. Especially the
Okay.
options. People are buying options. People are buying calls on SoFi. It's up more than 100%. And
I got
the chance.
2
Okay,
calls.
for
I got 2
$5,
calls
when you didn't
today.
want it, that means
Yeah.
at $10, you shouldn't be buying it. If you didn't want it at 5, do not buy it at 10. Okay.
But
I missed
some-
Palantir at 6. I missed it, baby. And so I'm not buying $16 calls here.
That's not. That's true.
Well,
People are right
Some
to do.
people didn't they weren't made aware of it. This is something that someone posted today on our Discord. If you're not a member of our Discord, you should join. But this was actually a good video. Who posted this? Is a new guy.
Well, Chris, I'm glad Chris brought up selling because he held his SoFi shares just as long as I said. Probably a week less than I thought he would.
Right, that was he tanked the whole market.
I
told
told
you-
you that
I
long
told you guys.
SoFi, but Vitaly was right. Vitaly was like, "Chris, you're gonna be out
I
of
told
it."
you that mofo's going to be out so quick, your head will spin. Okay.
Chris's sales need to get posted on Yahoo as insider selling.
Oh my
So,
god!
This is a new guy on our Discord who posted this morning. He's like, so I'm really questioning myself at the moment. Just watch this Kramer segment, and I kind of agree with this thesis. Am I bad money, or is he just a broken clock? So I want to play a little bit of this.
Now make it big though. If you can. Okay.
That's what she said.
Yeah. There's no sound.
Yeah.
Level the playing field for all. Okay. Welcome to money. Welcome to Cramerica. I'll be one of my friends. I'm just trying to make a little money. My job is not just entertain, but to put it all in context. So call me at 1-800-743-CBC.
Snake oil.
Now, the darn Federal Reserve was so worried about inflation. It's go running way too hot. And what was the point of not raising interest rates today? I found their statement after they held their meeting quite baffling, mystifying even. So why would they tell so many people, including journalists, they were going to pause because maybe we didn't need rate hikes when it sure does.
That's a bad connection. What's going on?
Yeah, Carlos, I think we're getting the volume from the speaker. Can you just send me the YouTube link?
Where things look rosy.
Yeah, send me the YouTube link. I'm gonna just pull it up because we're getting the volume from your speaker, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so just put in the. Okay, there it is. There it is. I'm
Little
pulling it up.
lost.
Okay. All right. Try it again.
Sorry.
You're sending it, right? Yeah. No, it sucks. Send me the link. Send me the link. It just
Yeah,
sucks.
I'm sending you the link. Sorry.
No worries.
We want to thank everybody, by the way, for joining. Our Discord has blown up. So thank you, Amit. Thank you, Chris, as well, because you guys have like this massive Twitter following and you've been pushing people our way.
Yeah, dude, we had 100 and something people join in like the last month. And,
Yeah.
and to put that in perspective, I think we had 250, maybe 300. So that's a 25%. So basically
25% increase.
it's very bullish on the freelancer finance Discord.
Freelancer finance
right
is
now.
doing well.
We're printing money right now.
All right.
Anyway, yeah, this is funny. Here, play this.
Thing. It got hit, but soared right back and only gained 0.39%. And, you know, it's the usual suspects that drove it higher. Now, I hate to be so inside baseball to talk about the Fed. I know you want to hear about your stocks, not the Fed. But I've been warning you, there's a lot of money. We're talking trillions of dollars betting that the Fed is going to cut rates by the end of the year. Cut! Today, we heard the opposite, that more rate hikes are coming because inflation's still too high and it isn't coming down to their satisfaction. And that's why I said just now that why pause if you're really so worried? Why not just raise? It's obvious the trajectory is too hot for these people, so cool it down more. But at the same time, so many people thought the economy had slowed already and that the Fed would be satisfied and would even have to cut rates soon. Something I told you was just plain ill-advised, stupid reasoning. After all, you can't raise rates and lower rates at the same time. However, these big money managers, and they are on air all day, this is why I'm addressing this, who believe that the tightenings are almost over, now realize that they were just wrong. And they need to reposition as fast as they can, meaning they need to do a massive amount of selling practically all at once in a number of stocks that made sense to buy only if they were right about rates, which is that they were going to go lower. That's what started today. And I think that kind of confused thinking is going to have to play out over a couple of days. Now, for weeks, I've said that I actually like the narrow rally, unlike everybody else, because we can identify the stocks of the narrow rally winners, the Magnificent Seven, Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Meta Platforms, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Tesla. And all you do is de-emphasize the others until the market broadened. Then you'd have to start trimming because the bull side would be too crowded with sunshine soldiers who will turn on you the moment things get difficult. That's how we positioned our trust. That's what I've been telling members of the CMC Investing Club. Actually, we reiterated that stance an hour before the Fed said what we most feared. That selling in non-tech stocks is exactly what happened in this session. Like I warned you, the last couple of weeks, the Johnny-come-latelys heard something they didn't like from the Fed, and they just get out.
Get crapped up.
So basically, the argument here is like, it is getting a little frothy because we got 7 companies holding up the entire thing. The guidance has to be met in order for that frothiness to be justified. And if it just cracks a little bit, and Chris was talking to me about this as well, if inflation's coming down, that means people aren't spending as much. So it's bullish that we're getting inflation coming down, but that means there's not that much money going into the economy, which should affect earnings, which means there might be a little bit of that rug pull, even if it's not 2,500 or something like that.
Right. If the money's not there, if the money is not there to pump into these companies on the consumer side, yet expectations are rising because of AI, you get this. You see where we're getting into a dangerous territory, right? Especially if the reason why the companies are trading at these multiples is because they're expected to show growth. So then the first company that doesn't hit either their guidance or Wall Street estimates, that's going to start a cascade. That's the idea behind it. And if you play the video later on, he does say what you were saying, Vitaly. If you didn't want in before, what are you trying to do coming in, rushing in at the top, now expecting more gains? If you weren't in, he's like, the only way you make money is when you are in early. And if you weren't in early, then you cannot be expecting gains on top of gains right now, no matter how much you shout from the rooftops that we're in a bull market.
Okay, so go ahead, Tanner. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so out of the top 10 positions or stocks on the S&P or NASDAQ, which ones do you think crap out first?
It's a good question.
First?
It's a good question.
Well,
Miss earnings.
Who's reporting?
No, I don't mean this week. I'm talking about, Q2 2023s for the Apples, the Google, the FANGs, plus NVIDIA, Tesla, out of all of these companies that are the largest market caps. Which one's
okay, look,
earnings?
well, if SoFi misses earnings, no one will care. It's like a fart in the wind.
Yeah.
No one gives a
SoFi,
shit.
I'll tell you my
a lot of
prediction.
sad people
Hold
in the Discord.
I'm sorry. But if you're talking about big companies, NVIDIA is really like keeping this rally afloat. Microsoft is also participating a lot. I would say Google is not actually participating and it's still undervalued. Amazon is still undervalued. So there's still some good companies that are there to pick up if you want to DCA into. Okay.
Well, what company do you think if they shit the bed, the market shits the whole market?
Well, I think NVIDIA.
Apple.
Yeah, NVIDIA.
I think NVIDIA. NVIDIA doesn't meet what they said, how their revenues. I forgot what it's supposed to be.
I don't think they would. You can't guide for 4 billion extra and then miss the next quarter. You would miss like 3, 4. Like that's not going to happen.
The problem is if they miss by 100 million, it's all of a sudden a miss. You understand? $1 is a miss. So I think that's the way it'll be read. They have to beat it. They have to beat it by $1.
Right.
I'm telling you, the way
Palantir did, they beat
Wall Street works by beats and revenue guidance. That's it. Okay. If they miss, they better say that we're going to triple our money in Q3. Okay. So they better have a good story for Q3. Otherwise, I think, yes, then there is a pullback. But once again, this is not a bear market we're going to enter just because they pull down the market. That's because they're the biggest companies. They pull down S&P. That's not a bear market. Okay.
Tanner, which company do you think is going to shit the bed first? Think NVIDIA?
I think NVIDIA will be so that's a two different questions. So which one do I think will have the largest impact on the rally right now? NVIDIA. What Kelly and Matt are saying is I'm a big believer that Google's not going to have a good time over the next 10 years.
Whoa. So you think Google shits the bed on earnings and that might crash? Well,
it might not be this earnings. It might not be this earnings, but I don't believe that they have a competitive moat anymore. I think they're losing that. And the problem is that so here's my thesis is that I'm not saying that they can't defend a massive position, but if you're expecting growth whenever I'm thinking that they're shrinking, even if they stay stagnant, that's a miss. And so I believe that a lot of people are switching to the likes of ChatGPT and these things. And even if Google can defend with being the biggest Bard AI search play, that's still an expense that no one can anticipate. And I honestly can't see how no one else can see it. If you look at it, sorry, I'm going to get into this really just quickly. if you look at all the biggest tech plays, Apple, Microsoft, Google, I'll think of another one in a second. They are extremely diverse. Google is not that diverse. 60% of their overall revenue comes from search and search alone. I think it's like 90% of their profits or something like this, just from search.
Correct.
And if these LLMs are very good at doing search, that'll be very competitive.
Okay, but the elephant in the room is that Google will have those LLMs. So what's the
it costs, but there's single digit cents to make a search right now, like 7 or 8 cents per search on these large AI models. How can that be affordable for Google?
Well, that'll come down over time.
Yeah, as you scale your infrastructure and as new GPUs come out, that's the way technology works. In fact, it gives Google an advantage that they can afford to do it with Facebook, with Apple, with these big guys. That makes it easier for them, not worse for them. A short-term hit does not mean a long-term problem. This is actually better for them. These big companies are going to get bigger, just way bigger.
Yeah.
You disagree with that?
No, I do disagree with that. I think
Besides
most
Tanner,
people,
anyone else?
I think most people searching right now on Google's platform for the longest time has been dumb and designed to be dumb. So then people search multiple times to give you different answers and more advertisements. And so,
how often do you go on the second page of Google?
Sorry,
how often are you on the second page of Google?
You don't. But you change your search. You double you type in a new prompt and search again. That happens.
Tanner, let me
time.
give you a new perspective. Don't you think most of the world is dumb and therefore Google should stay dumb? Like, I asked a bunch of people that I respect, have you heard of ChatGPT? They're like, no. And like, these are people I respect that work and like, they just don't know it exists. Even if they do know it exists, do you think they're really going to leave a dumb search engine like Google?
See, this is where I think Matt is wrong, where they'll bring up other things like, oh yeah, but Google Cloud is doing well and YouTube is doing well. That is such a tiny part of their business and people get confused. Google search is the largest majority. And if they lose that and YouTube doubles in value, they're going to shrink by a lot.
That's true. That is true.
And so it's a matter of the size of their business. If Microsoft can take a fraction of their business, which they already have, okay, Microsoft has nothing to lose by increasing their expenses of less than 3% of their overall business, okay? It's Google's 60% of their revenue and like 90%, like search for the longest time has been the #1 most profitable business in every sector of business. Okay. That's
I just want to point out, you're discounting the technological advantage Google actually has currently with AI. Microsoft was smart because they're investing in OpenAI, and OpenAI got their transformer technology from Google because they open sourced it. If they kept their fucking mouth shut, we wouldn't even be talking about ChatGPT right now. We'd be talking about Bard. Okay. So Google has a massive technological advantage, better engineers, more money to work on these problems because Microsoft has focused on different things in the past. Okay. So they're good at different things. I'm not saying they're not. So I think you're ignoring all of that and just discounting what Google is going to become. It's just going to be so much bigger. And especially now at $1.5 trillion and Apple 3 trillion. Like that's to me, like Google has to move up. It's gonna.
I don't think comparing market caps based on just another different company with different revenues and different expenses makes any sense. But
I agree with you, but it just shows how big a company can grow. And Google is growing. First of all, ads, they're not going away. They're getting bigger.
But on that point, no, Magna Global projecting ad spend this year will grow less than 4% year over year from 2023. And there's a number of people saying this, that ad spending is shrinking. As people have less money, they're buying less, so companies are advertising less.
You're talking about now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But these things take a while to play out, right? It takes a while to play out. We also have to look at certain things cyclically. Like if we were talking around Christmas time, in general, like the Christmas boom would say erase some of what we're seeing. But now we're going into like a summer lull where it's not as popular, right? So that's why these particular quarters are more vulnerable than say towards the end of the year. When you ask your question, Amit, like which company's the one that's gonna, well, if it was Q4, those are typically good for some companies and not good for others. Q1 is terrible for auto sales, so Tesla would probably be the one that's going to miss. So it's about that. But I think any company that is heavily dependent on ad revenue is vulnerable to this.
I think you're still talking about the quarters, and I'm talking about years. And the simple fact is, not every business has an online presence, even in 2023. They're still moving to online advertising. Okay. everybody's still transitioning to this thing, the internet, that we think everybody is on and everybody's doing everything on.
Don't you get the sense that anyone, even people in the chat, everyone that thinks like this bull market is here and we're done or whatever?
Oh no, I'm not saying we're going up right away. I'm just saying the next couple of quarters don't matter to me at all. That's all I'm saying.
But I'm saying the investors, everyone that's saying we're done. You know, we know what the Fed's going to do. This is over. We're not going lower. We're not going much lower because it's expected. I still think that those people are really cautiously optimistic, where in the back of your mind, they're just looking for the crack, like you were saying, Amit. And any one company that shows the crack, everyone runs out the door to protect their gains. And again, this is an outsized reaction to what the actual market is doing, but that the only thing that we care about if we're talking about money is what the reaction is going to be, not the actual earnings or guidance. It's what is the market going to do. And I think basically my last point is I think right now any reaction from the market on the upside or downside is going to be amplified. That's my point.
So do you agree with Tanner on Google, or do you agree with Vitaly on Google?
In terms of that it's not going to be good for Google, I don't think it's going to be good. They're not going to be able to show that growth. They're not going to be able to show the growth. And this is the problem that I think, you know, we talk about this with Meta all the time, is that these companies should not be considered growth companies anymore. I don't think they should be considered growth companies. They should be considered value companies. It would be a lot better for them to position themselves as value plays and just say, look, we're offering a great dividend. We're working to make our products better. But this idea of trying to show growth over and over and over is what I think gets them into this trouble. But it's also what justifies their valuations, right? So, you know,
so you think in 2030, you think Alphabet at 1.6 trillion? Tanner, I mean, let's have everyone give a market cap. What do you guys think Google's worth in 2030? Tanner, let's start with you.
No clue.
I mean,
no clue.
Away.
What do you think? It's like 5 trillion, 3 trillion, 1.9 trillion?
I'll throw it out. It's over 5 trillion.
Yeah. So I don't know what it'll be.
Boom.
So the way I look at it is that if you're going to hold individual stocks, they better outperform the S&P 500. That should always be your goal.
That's true.
Yeah. True.
If not, buy the S&P 500. Do I think that
which 5 companies make up 25% of anyway?
Sorry?
Which 5 companies make up 25% of anyway?
Good fucking point.
Sure. Do I think that Google, which already year to date, it's not outperforming the S&P 500. Do I think that it'll outperform the S&P 500 between now and 2030? No, I do not. I do not think it'll outperform.
That is something that I can agree with, because like unlike Apple.
Then why hold it? Why are you a shareholder?
I'm not saying I am. I'm not saying I am.
Okay.
I am.
No, he is. But it's not to say, like, to Vitaly's point, it's not to say that you can't make money on that. You can't sleep on those companies either, because if you do hold them and they're paying you, then why would you why would you say no to free money if they are also part of what's holding up the S&P? But I just feel like they don't have the opportunities that a company like Apple does to continue growing in terms of being in the product services and the way that they monetize their existing base. The way you do it's way different than what Google does. So, but we don't know what Google's going to do. That's why I'm saying when you ask 2030, that's 7 years from now. We don't know. I have no idea what the world's going to look like 7 years from now, right? Like they do launch products and some of them fail, some of them are a hit. But because we're in this big transition now, who the hell knows what's going to happen? I'm gonna send you an article. I'll send you this article that I saw today also about Google, and I want to get your guys' take on this.
Tanner, go ahead. If you're going to say something.
Are we getting people in the
I wasn't going to say anything.
We're over 500. Well, I think last I saw we were over 500.
It's a massive position, and people are always emotional whenever it comes to their position. So, I'm not shorting Google. This is just my opinion. I think there's so many cleaner plays than a company's with its largest business model is getting disrupted. Okay. I think in any other area, whenever I look at certain industries like big banks, and then I see SoFi coming in, and then large banks not, conforming to those ideals in consumer-facing sides of the business. I think that's a bad place to put my money, especially if they don't have a dividend.
I think you're forgetting, honestly, you keep talking about like it's only ChatGPT versus Bard. This is not why you use Google. Okay, that's not the only reason. I got all my email there. I have my photos there. I have web space there. I got 10 different services I'm using with Google. I don't know what you're doing. Google Sheets,
but
Google
Google
this.
search, but no.
No, my
Google
point is
search
I'm using
where they bring in the money, not.
I get what you're saying, but for me to leave Google, ChatGPT and Microsoft have to have exactly the same thing and be able to take all my data.
No, but Vitaly, his point is you can use Google Sheets. That doesn't make them any money.
Yeah.
So I'm saying
it keeps you in the ecosystem. It keeps.
But it doesn't make you. But it doesn't make them money if you stop using the search. That's the point.
Here's another thing. Okay. You can stay with Google. I think that they will have a margin compression even with the same number of users or growing users. There will be margin compression. So like
That could be true, first of all. I'm fine
and
with
so
that.
that's what I'm saying. There's a shift in their whole business model. I think it's just so dangerous to think, oh, ad spend will go up just because. I don't know about all
No,
that.
ad spend is going up, and it's not just because. That's literally what's projected to happen. Ad spend is going up. More internet ads will be made as people transition from linear TV, which is still around, by the way. People still have cable, okay, in their house, as opposed to
but
having like
the
streaming.
bottom has pretty, not going to say that completely, but the bottom has pretty much come out of cable. I think we were talking about this on a podcast the other day, that the levels of people subscribed to regular pay cable are now at like 1992 levels. That's over. It's over now.
I just want to point
Streaming
out
has
Some people
won.
are saying some such. I just got to point out a comment. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Like the idea this is how the Google shareholder thinks. This guy says Google has a better ecosystem than Apple. You must be on Mars.
Well,
You
first of
must
all,
be
that has nothing to
on
do.
Mars.
Two different things. Two different
Google
John.
pays Apple to put their platform on the Apple iPhone. If they're able to develop these LLMs and create the exact same service that Google has, why would they pay that? Like, they can control that ad spend and have that entire search on their own. And that would be 50% of their overall revenue. And you're banking on the idea that that just won't happen cuz. Okay. Yeah.
Talk your shit, bro. Talk your shit.
Good idea creating an ecosystem behind no hardware.
See what happens on Finance Junkies? You get fucking violent.
You get we got the real Tanner.
Right.
The real Tanner.
People get intense.
On Weekly,
You got triggered.
Weekly, he's like, well, I think this is going to happen with the banks. And here he's like, fuck
Dude,
you.
Now he's like, fuck
Commenter.
creating ecosystems on just tech whenever like technology is so easily replicable. Anyway.
Replicatable.
Replicable. Whatever.
Okay.
All I'm saying is I think that the giants will be in the hardware owners.
Is this Mad
That's
Chris?
the
We got
hard
a
part
good
to
Mad Chris.
replicate. Microsoft
Well, yeah.
and
So
Apple,
it's like Tanner
you
yells
cannot
at Google.
say any company in the entire world has stronger ecosystems than Apple and Microsoft across the board.
I just want to point
Tanner,
out.
would you buy Google or Palantir over the next 10 years?
I wouldn't.
But if you had to.
Palantir, but not at these prices.
Yeah, definitely not the. Okay. I just wanted to hear that.
I just want to point out, even Carlos and I were talking, and all of us were saying, like, remember like 4 or 5 years ago, and we're like, there's not going to be any $1 trillion companies.
That is
Remember
true.
that's not going to happen. Like, I thought the same thing. I've come around to believe.
Honestly, I totally disagree with what you're saying. Like
That's
Vitaly,
fine, but me and Carlos, maybe not you. Maybe you knew better, of course, because you're younger and you're better looking. So maybe that's why.
But you've brought this up before, where you have like this cap on how highest. I think there will be a $10 trillion. I have no problems with there being a $10 trillion company.
10 years ago, nobody thought that way. Nobody thought that there'd be a $3 trillion company. Nobody thought that way. And I'm saying we're going to be all surprised where these companies go, because they control a majority of our lives, including Apple, including Google. We're going to be surprised where they get to.
Yeah, but can we talk about how much of that value, how much of that market cap are buybacks and things? So it doesn't
matter.
Well,
At the end of
that's
the day,
financial
as a
engineering,
shareholder,
but-
I don't care. Okay, as long as you give me my money,
you don't care. You don't care. But it isn't the same as say markets investing. What is that?
an Apple device.
It's a Google phone.
I thought that was I saw an Apple thing.
But Tanner, there is one point here. Matt says, should Finance Junkies move to Rumble? And outside of his sarcasm about Rumble, I do agree with Vitaly, bro. Like, YouTube has 2.3 billion users. There's 3 billion people coming online in the next 15 years. All of them are going to want to watch videos and eventually create something. And YouTube's going to be the only place where they get distribution. Rumble's, it's not going to be. And Android has YouTube pre-installed on their phones. And most of the world uses Android. So it's going to be hard to get out of that. Go ahead, Carlos.
Without getting too political, because I'm trying to avoid getting political, is that since 2005 to right now, we've seen the political leaning in this country going in one direction. And Google is drawing a line in the sand that they are with a certain political leaning. But more and more, this other side is coming online, and the pendulum is due for a swing back. If they don't cater to these group of people that are growing in intensity because they're pushing back against this,
that is.
I'm not saying it's going to be Rumble, but Twitter. You understand?
That goes to Tanner's point. That's a different argument for Tanner.
But it's not. But it doesn't have to necessarily. All I'm saying is that it's not even about. I don't know. It's not that. It's just that it's not going to be good. They cannot stay. You cannot stay with this status quo, especially if the country reverts back to the center, which I think actually is important right now. Because if you think about it, like, you know, we supposedly have two political parties in this country, but almost the entire media is dominated by one side. That's where the money is right now. That's where Google, and that's where everybody is, and that's what they're protecting. So I don't know that it can last forever. Yeah, making free speech.
That's a legitimate point. Rumble has 110 million monthly active. Like, why is a video website getting anything close to that when you guys?
I've been seeing more links on my Twitter feed that take me to Rumble, that I see videos there that I wouldn't. I'm telling you,
which way this guy's leaning now.
Right.
No, but look, I try to see both sides, because I try to see both sides just for the sake of blind spots. But the point is, the stuff that I'm seeing.
You see that Trump poster back there, all the way back there?
Yeah.
What is that?
My boy.
Make America great again,
But
baby.
look, seriously, in 5 more years, someone like Joe Rogan would not be allowed on Google. What he's saying is too.
No, that's right. He would have been censored many times on YouTube.
Do you understand what I'm saying? And like Vitaly, you know, you joke about this, but we're kids of the 90s. The stuff that was on TV on the 90s, on the stuff that was on TV on regular television in the 90s would not fly on cable right now, on pay TV.
Yeah, but you get it on YouTube now. Who cares?
No, it's not about who cares. It's not about us, the consumer. What I'm saying is that tells you something about these companies, what they are allowing and not allowing on their platform. But you're alienating a group of people that also have access to the internet, that also have money. And if you saw what happened to Bud Light and Target, they can hurt.
You know who sponsored the comedy thing? It was Bud Light. And there were some funny jokes about that.
I'm sure.
Carlos, I think you have a valid point. I just don't think there's enough of those creators that were going to leave Google or YouTube, which would make them.
Have you seen? Okay,
like,
okay.
I agree.
Carlos, you keep forgetting the reason you want to, besides being a creator, because it's fun to talk. They want to make money. Okay, as long as there's a way for them to make money with YouTube,
but
they're not going to leave.
I
understand.
Not happening. I understand what you're saying, but there's a yearning for a certain type of content that people want to hear, and Google is saying you can't put this content here. They're giving people strikes and taking down videos that people want to hear, and eventually there's going to be a backlash to that. And I don't know if it's going to be Rumble or if it's some other service, because you know Truth Social failed, all these Mastodon, all these other
Mastodon was a
failed.
joke, bro.
Yeah, they all failed. But the idea is that this money, there's in other words, money's building somewhere. It wants to go somewhere, and Google's not capturing it. And I think that goes to Tanner's point, that Google is making a line in the sand. They're not capturing this. But can they right now? Because if they were to open it up and say, try to capture this to continue to grow, are they going to face the same backlash that companies like Bud Light and Target are experiencing now?
I think honestly,
Tanner, last word, then we got one last topic. Go ahead.
That's a great comment.
So no one, hold on, no one's coming in the chat. I thought you always have a guest.
No, I didn't do this because we had Tanner today. I mean, we could do this, but we're at an hour. I had one more topic that I wanted to do.
Okay,
it was the Bitcoin.
All right, last thing, it's 10 o'clock. Yeah.
No,
okay, Tanner, go ahead.
I was just going to state that I think that Google needs to diversify, and I think they're already trying to do this with phones, and they understand the importance of owning the ecosystem. This is owning the ecosystem. And every other company that's just digital and on those other platforms don't own it, and they don't get to choose the pricing at all.
If you don't have a blue bubble, Tanner, don't fucking text me, okay?
No, but
I hate those people. Goddamn.
Oh God, yes, green
bubble annoying.
You're proving the
never have
strength
a
of a real
girlfriend that doesn't have a blue
ecosystem, though.
bubble, bro.
Like you're proving my point.
Anyway, I'm messing around with you. Obviously, we use WhatsApp for that. Now.
The green bubble people. Yeah.
If they can diversify, I'd be much happier. The problem is they are so concentrated, unlike any of the other large tech companies.
Okay, Google's going to fail. Next. What's your next topic?
Okay, last topic for the day. Are you guys ready? This is all you guys. All three of you are going to salvage over this. BlackRock is filing for a Bitcoin ETF. So, Carlos, when's Bitcoin going to the moon? BlackRock's in. They control the world. So what's going on?
This is terrible. These man,
This is bad. What do you mean this is bad? How's this bad for Bitcoin?
Because I mean, of like the two companies like BlackRock and the World Economic Forum keep me up at night, dude. They seriously do. Like, how do we have antitrust laws and we don't have anti-BlackRock fucking laws? Like, they're just getting too
because
powerful.
it's a public company, dude. So stop being a freaking communist.
No, and stop
it's a
saying
public
that
company. It's allowed to be public.
Stop saying that to sound all
aggressive. No, you're saying the wrong things because investors invest in BlackRock like us. We can do it too, and they use that money to buy shit
and
control shit.
Tired of this. Really? Okay, then you're always right, Vitaly. No one else.
I'm saying investors like us are doing this. But hold on, investors like us. Well, some of them are richer than us, of course, but they're the ones who are doing this. It's not just BlackRock. BlackRock puts by itself in a bubble. It's actually us, people like us, who give BlackRock the power to do this.
Okay, so Carlos, let's get your perspective on how this. We saw the video last time. BlackRock controls the world, forcing diversity, all that stuff. Larry Fink. What is the evil aspect to this in the context of Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin's supposed to be uncontrollable, right? Uncensorable. How do you think BlackRock potentially?
Well, it's a Bitcoin ETF. Like, it's not like they can't control the underlying asset because the underlying asset is not owned by anyone, right? So it's not available for them to purchase. If it was, they would have bought it by now. Trust me. So the ETF is fine. I do think it's going to bring people into the ecosystem but in terms of the company itself, I'm not a fan of BlackRock. Yeah,
but do you think this will make the price go up outside of how you morally
Of course,
feel?
I think it would. Yeah, of course it would, because I mean they're going to have to own some. They're going to have to own some underlying Bitcoin. I don't know exactly how they'll structure it, but I'm sure they're going to have to own some of the underlying asset, right? But then people are going to be buying into the fund, and I don't know how that's going to work necessarily with custodian. You know what I mean? Like, even if you buy an ETF, you're not actually buying the underlying asset, so it's not like it's necessarily purchasing Bitcoin, per se. The only thing that makes Bitcoin go up is Bitcoin purchases.
Just FYI, BlackRock's ETF is being rejected. Okay, that's not happening.
Why?
Everyone's just starting because the SEC is basically, they don't want Bitcoin ETFs right now until there's clear laws that they're in charge. That's not happening. So worrying about BlackRock and ETFs is not going to happen. In fact, BlackRock and other companies are starting this process because they know eventually it will. So the first one will be a rejection, maybe the rejection next year when they apply again. Eventually, there'll be clearer laws, which will happen in the next couple of years, 5 years, who knows. Then ETFs will come out. There is no ETF coming for any
what
period
are you
of time
about,
right
Carlos?
So
oh, you think ETFs are coming?
Her cats just comment that BlackRock is also currently buying souls. That's I'm just ready. Imagine that ETF comes up. I'm like,
then I would buy in.
I would buy into whose soul you got, baby.
Right, you just DCA.
I'm gonna buy a fractional share of that soul. Let's do it. By the way, let me know in the chat if you guys seen the Soul Disney movie, the animated one. It was really good. Tanner, what are your thoughts?
No, but hold on, Carlos. Do you actually think an ETF is going to be announced, even if it's BlackRock?
Yeah, I think eventually they'll figure out the way around.
I'm saying this one, this petition right now.
No, I don't think so. But it's not. It's about just making the idea of that normal, right? And then at some point when it's normal, it's going to become legal, right? Anything
probably 5 years from now.
Yeah, because and in order for something to become legal, it needs to first become normal, right? So this idea, we're like, well, but it's a currency. How could you do this? Well, if they just keep trying to redefine, especially if Homeboy at the SEC is successful, redefining crypto as a security, then it's all bets are off. But still, the underlying asset is not a security, and we understand this. So that's where I think it's going to get. That's where I think I'm really curious to see what the verbiage is in the legislation, because that's going to be really key. How do they spin this?
I think the SEC is changing basically everything into a security at some point. Maybe Bitcoin will escape this. That's the only one that will escape. Everything else is a security, including Ethereum. 100%.
Yeah, well, I think that's what they said, and that might be the trade-off. And I think that was Mr. Wonderful's point when we looked at the video a couple of weeks back. And he's like, so who cares if you're only invested in Bitcoin? What do you give a fuck for all these people that are losing money in Solana and whatever the fuck? Like, even guys like you and me, we do not recommend buying that stuff.
No,
right? There's only two, and so if you're in Bitcoin, you're fine. You're fine. You actually want this regulation already so that these companies can start putting some of their free cash flow into this thing and get us to the 5, 6, 7 digits that we need, get Ethereum to 5 digits, and then we can all freaking retire and do this podcast from Bora Bora.
I just want to point out, me and Carlos obviously go back a long way, so everybody thinks that we fight. That's what we do, man. That's what people from Brooklyn do.
30 years.
But we go back 30 years jerking each other off. But
occasional hand jobs.
At the end of the day, just so you know, me and Carlos are basically invested in the same shit. We have Bitcoin, we have Ethereum, we have Tesla, we have Enphase. We literally are betting, and real estate. We're literally betting on the same things, but we'll fight about it all day long, even though we're roughly betting on the same things.
Speaking of which, we should pump. We're going to have a battle for the all ages for our Patreon members on Friday. We're going to have a private Patreon members only
battle.
Okay, let me put the Patreon link in the chat.
It is going to be epic. If anybody was in our Discord, Vitaly and I go back and forth. You know, Vitaly's position on Meta and the Quest, and my position on Apple and the Vision Pro got pretty heated the other day on our Discord, which then translated into Vitaly saying, I'm bringing in my brother. And I was like, I'm bringing in Rango. So now it's me and Rango against Vitaly.
I invited Rango as well. And my brother.
I found Rango, man. I pulled Rango out from the ethos of the.
No, I'm saying to the podcast. So Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern.
No, we said 7.
10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock Eastern. We're having a podcast, and Amit, you're invited. Chris, you're invited.
I have a SoFi weekly podcast.
Tanner, you're invited too. If you want to come on, just message me and we'll bring you on. But basically, we talk over there. We're going to discuss Meta and whether Vision Pro has any chance of eventually taking Meta's market cap or whatever, winning the VR wars if there is such a thing. So we're going to discuss that kind of stuff. And I'm bringing on my brother, who's actually in VR, in gaming, and he knows a lot about this stuff.
Okay. That put
Brock,
that. I put their link.
Brock the Bot wants to see us fight.
Yeah, you got to have an MMA. Tanner, let's get your thoughts
We
on this.
fight with words. We're mature enough not to be babies about it, obviously.
So just going back, we're still talking about BlackRock and Bitcoin,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay.
I thought we're done. I thought the podcast.
No, Tanner didn't even get his opinion in. Goodness
No, we
gracious.
should
Tanner,
be
go
done.
ahead.
That's how Vitaly rolls, man.
That's exactly my point. Like we made it. He's very convincing, and sometimes he can make his point in a way that sounds so convincing. But you have to let other people say.
Okay,
that
all right.
in
Go
the
ahead,
mood.
Tanner. No one's stopping. Now you're stopping him. all
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so I'm too Canadian for this podcast.
No, we saw your American side.
Yo,
when you
your
were there.
inner Brooklyn
We
came
saw
out,
some
bro.
US of A here. All right, go
Yeah,
ahead.
well, okay. All I wanted to say was that, I don't know how this does get approved. Like, so one, the custodian is Coinbase, just to clear up what Carlos said. And does everyone need to own their own Bitcoin? I don't even agree with that. Like, some people can make investment bets and not have to own their own crypto. You can buy paper gold right now, perfectly fine. There's billions and billions of dollars in paper gold. It's perfectly fine having a coupon for something. That being said, I looked it up while Vitaly brought that up, that Fidelity, Van Eck, Skybridge Capital, Bitwise, and 3 others applied for Bitcoin spot ETFs, and they all got declined.
Yep.
If this does get approved, that shows you that BlackRock is government.
Yeah, it's government. No, but here's the thing.
It's not going to be approved.
They keep trying, and I
don't think so.
agree. I agree with Vitaly. It won't be approved until they have to be able to define crypto or Bitcoin specifically in a way that makes sense to have it trade on the market. I mean, I think it should be able to trade, but I'm not going to pretend like I understand all the ins and outs of this stuff, but they're going to figure out a way, right? They're going to figure out a way to make it work, because these guys want access to this thing, and they're going to figure out a way to get access to it. So I don't know how they do it.
And last comment is, yes, Black Mirror is coming out. Everybody watch that. That shit is great.
Black Mirror.
If you have a
Black
significant other, Hang the DJ is one of the best Black Mirror episodes to watch with like a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever.
How would you know?
Well, in college, when I brought girls back to the apartment, every time
That's how you know he's never brought a girl back.
Bro, I did it with 3 different girls. I was like, "You want to watch the Black Mirror episode?"
I did it with
every
3
time.
different girls.
Every time that episode worked. It's a great episode. It's a good episode.
Which episode?
Hang the DJ.
Hang the DJ. Okay.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I
you remember
swear
that
to God,
one,
I
right?
thought you were going to
I've seen
say.
them all, yeah.
I'm going to try it tonight on Producer Wife.
I could have swore Amit was going to say, like, oh, if you have a significant other, like, send me their LinkedIn, let me know their Instagram, I'll go check them out.
And start liking all their photos. Yeah, but it's not
Right.
creepy at all.
Right.
All right, one last plug for the Freelancer Finance Patreon. I know a lot of you joined. You guys have been asking for a Finance Junkies Patreon. Maybe later on we'll do that, but for now, if you want to join Vitaly and Carlos's, it's $5 a month, and they get into heated debates, and you can support them. They have a lot of fun. A bunch of people join.
We do appreciate the support, but I'd say the biggest benefit to those people, which we get asked a lot, is like our trades. So you can get access to our free Discord, which is free. Anybody can join.
Not
but
financial advice. It's only what we're doing. Just
right.
wanna put that out.
And that's the point. It's just what we're doing. So we're not pumping anything. We're not selling anything. We're just letting you guys know what we're doing. And so you can go and you can check out our trades. And we also have like member only chats with like specific rooms that are just for the people on our Patreons. So.
And there's
Discord is in the chat. And what were we gonna say, Tanner?
No, just this thing too. Go check that out if you care about fintech.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna plug your Twitter.
Okay,
right now. So, and please follow Tanner as well on Twitter. He was gracious enough to put up with us tonight and voice his opinion on
Yes,
board
I
games.
actually enjoyed it.
and
This is the
we
best
know.
episode you've done.
Yeah,
Tanner.
thank you, dude. Tanner, thank you. I actually think we should have him on with Chris and have them fight Apple. Like basically, Tanner is anti Chris, right? Like me and Vitaly fight. Him and Chris could fight. We need to find someone for you to fight. Amit.
Well, him and Chris agree on most things. I think you both agree on. Well, I don't know if Chris agrees on Google per se. Probably not.
Yeah, me and Chris get along. I just think it's the one position, and there's
We
some
all get
small
along,
stuff.
by the way. So F you,
Sorry?
Tanner. We all get along.
It's friendly hyena.
Well, look, if anyone's ever read How to Win Friends and Influence People, I think chapter 3 says if two people always agree, one of them is not necessary. So I'm a big proponent of, no matter what, even if you agree on 50-60%, the other stuff that you disagree with, you should really disagree with. Yeah, it's just great. That's one of my favorite like investing books. That's not even really an investing book, but
Love that book.
You guys don't believe it, but that's the truth. Crossroads.
well, then, but you know what? You need someone to love in order to then that's a big problem.
I do. It's right there.
lover-
It's in the
you're a
background. You see her? There's a little Palantir sign. That's my love.
You need to date a girl named Palantina, or Valentina, so you can you need something like that.
Okay, let's end it off with this. Let's do one last fun thing. What is the and you can't say your wife's name because that's a cop out. What is the prettiest name for a girl you can think of? You can't say your wife's name. You gotta, because obviously your wife is your wife. But what's a pretty name besides your wife's name? That is a really. It's not a trap, Vitaly. Yeah, yes.
It sounds like a trap.
What else? You can't say Samantha either. What is the name?
Amit is like Samantha.
No, I'm not gonna pick Samantha. I have a different one. What is the name that's such a beautiful name for a girl that you're like, damn, I want to date that girl because she has that name.
I think Kelly. I really like that name.
Kelly, yeah, starts with a K, ends with an L-E.
Maris, that's cute. Sophia, Sophia's such a cute name. Yes, Sophia's a great name. Carlos, what about you? What are you gonna do?
I can say this now. I like the name Memory. I was gonna name
Memory.
That was one of the names we were throwing around for our daughter, just to have it be a completely unique name that nobody has. Because I don't know, for some people they really like the name Cynthia, but then there's going to be someone in the chat that's like, that bitch broke my heart in first grade.
I actually got one.
I dated Alexa.
Sophie.
Yeah, Sophia.
That's a cute one. That's a good one.
Right.
Okay, Tanner, what do you think besides Samantha?
I really like Sophia.
Okay.
Emily.
Emily.
I like those names.
Interesting. Emily. Okay, and Vitaly, you didn't give yours.
I did. I said Kelly.
Oh, you did say Kelly, and then you said Memory. Okay, mine is Carpia.
Oh God.
What?
Oh my God.
Carpia.
Kill me now.
Oh.
All right, that's the end of the pod. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Before you do go, anything that the last remaining people that you didn't chase out of this call right now, what we can be talking about, what we can look for the rest of the week. What are you going to talk about tomorrow?
Yes. Okay, so a good announcement. So
and bring up the new Finance Junkies.
Amit, let's play some chess.
We need subscribers.
Yeah, you don't even say like and subscribe. Everybody.
He doesn't say like and subscribe. This is what we talked about yesterday on the Zoom.
Yeah,
we need to be better about trying to get people to understand it.
Okay, so one quick announcement. Thank you to the 454 people still here. We are going to do this. I think we're starting this, right, Carlos? I mean, this is technically official, but we'll confirm for sure on Saturday. We're starting doing Sunday episodes on Finance Junkies, this channel. I'm going to put in the chat. This is inevitably going to be the home of the podcast, hopefully by the end of the summer. So please subscribe to it if you are not, and we will be doing.
Wait. Do we have 1,000 people there yet?
936. 936.
I mean, why don't we just wait till it crosses 1,000 at least? Come on.
Hopefully over Saturday by tonight.
Yeah, well, no, Vitaly, this is what we spoke about. The idea is that we just start doing one podcast there a week. The Sunday podcast is sort of it's not as serious as the Monday, the ones we do during the week. So we do one podcast there to start seeding it and slowly transition over to that channel as this one gains traction, because it's also, we need to start having some content on here. So the idea is, guys, eventually we're going to migrate away from having this podcast happen on Amit's channel, and it's going to be living exclusively on this channel. It just works better to have it all in one place. And so
the channel's not in jail. We just can't get a copyright strike or we're fucked.
Yes,
so
right.
We just better not play any fucking music.
Yeah, then that's dangerous.
I wanted to bring that up. You are 100% wrong about that 15-second rule. There's no such thing.
Yeah, there is no
sure?
rule. I think you're
dude.
Totally wrong about that.
I put on 4 seconds of something I got copyright striked on.
You know what? I think then they just put on a little banner says, "Hey, buy this song" or something, right? I think they had that.
No, bro.
All the money.
The record labels have YouTube by the throat. If they hear
all
music,
the money goes to the creator. If you have any piece of it in your video, they give all the money.
All right, well, that's
you can edit it out and then repost the video, but yeah.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Amit, when are you going to play some chess on stream?
I agree with Johnny, actually. Awesome. More confusion on where it lives. I agree with that.
Eventually we'll be official on that channel.
You're talking all this game, Amit. Where are you?
I'm actually not that great at chess, but I'll message you. We'll set up a game.
And how do you buy puts on Amit? I'm selling them. Just contact me. I'll sell your puts.
All right, that's it. for the work week, Monday through Thursday. Tanner, thank you for subbing in. We're sorry we missed yesterday. We're gonna make
Yeah,
sure
dude. Thanks. Seriously, thanks for coming in. Like, you had really big shoes to fill, but I enjoyed your insight and going back and forth. It was cool.
I appreciate you guys having me. It was a ton of fun, and yeah, no, I'm a big fan of you guys, and I watch you guys even whenever Chris is on and everything, and I love all
Even
the
when
debates,
Chris
so.
is on. That's good.
That's
I
the
was thinking
clip.
of
That's
saying
the
something
clip.
else.
Shut up with Chris.
Listen, that's the best compliment you can give us.
That's the best. That's so
All right, everybody. See you later, huh?
Have a good one. We'll see you guys Sunday night. Enjoy the weekend.
Bye.
Bye.